Good evening, and thanks for joining us for the departure of the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft and its 3 inhabitants, NASA astronauts Andrew Morgan, Jessica Meir, and Roscosmos cosmonaut Oleg Skripochka. Having conducted meticulous system checks, including leak checks on the hatch and depressurizing the space between the vehicle and the station, the crewmates are now in their so-called launch and entry suits and strapped into their seats, one step closer to coming home. I'm NASA's Leah Cheshire, and I'm here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where the Orbit 3 team is currently on console, monitoring all of the systems aboard the International Space Station. Leading teams tonight is Flight Director Marcos Flores, down at the bottom of your screen, and to his right, Capcom Andreas Mogensen, who's communicating with the astronauts aboard the station. Visiting Vehicle Officer Mike Campion is keeping tabs on the Soyuz vehicle, preparing to depart here in just about 22 minutes. This is a balcony view of the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov, a town outside of Moscow. That is the team that will be controlling all of tonight's landing operations. You'll hear this team refer to the Soyuz crew as Sarmat, the call sign chosen by Oleg Skripochka, commander of the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft, whenever MCC Moscow addresses the crew.
I can see the image on symbol test. Yes, copy, and on the laptop. Inaudible. On MPEG viewer, on the laptop, I see something gray.
Standing by with the commands V17, approach flag, and also RAW approach. Do not send these commands yet. V18 is also should not be sent.
But as to video service, it's all black. Cannot see anything. Copy. But I'm done with step 5. Everything is correct for step 5. Copy.
You can hear Commander Oleg Skripochka speaking with teams on the ground, continuing those checks in preparation for the Soyuz to undock from the Zvezda portion of the space station, scheduled for 8:53 p.m. Central Time. Tonight, the teams in the Russian Mission Control Center on your screen, as well as here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, are fully focused on the departure of the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft, with Jessica Meir, Andrew Morgan, and Oleg Skripochka inside. Drew Morgan's 272-day mission began on July 20th, 2019, the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing. He launched aboard the Soyuz MS-13 spacecraft along with Luca Parmitano of the European Space Agency and Alexander Skvortsov of Roscosmos. During his journey, he traveled over 115.3 million miles orbiting Earth and also contributed to hundreds of experiments in biology, earth science, human research, and more. During his time on board, he conducted 7 spacewalks, totaling 45 hours and 48 minutes, 4 of which were dedicated to improving and extending the life of the station's alpha magnetic spectrometer as it looks into the universe for evidence of dark matter. He's now got the record for the 4th longest individual spaceflight for an American, with those 272 days on his first mission.
Using VKU and using camera. The next RDR minus 1044400 is
Jessica Meir and Oleg Skripochka, who launched on the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft departing tonight, arrived on September 25th, 2019. They traveled over 86.9 million miles during their stay aboard the International Space Station, and for Meir, it was her first spaceflight, conducting the first 3 all-woman spacewalks with NASA astronaut Christina Koch, totaling 21 hours and 44 minutes outside the hatch. Skripochka is completing his 3rd spaceflight for a cumulative 536 days in orbit.
We confirm Sudan power.
Yes, directory 3
And we copy. We copy.
TVS
TVS,
level.
go. Inaudible.
Taking a look, it was a very busy time for the International Space Station during the expedition on which these crew members were on board. We saw 3 arrivals of SpaceX Dragon cargo craft, 2 of the Russian Progress resupply craft, and 2 Northrop Grumman Cygnus spacecraft. Additionally, there was an uncrewed Soyuz that visited the space station and 2 Soyuz spacecraft that brought crews along with them. There was also the arrival of the Japanese HTV cargo vehicle, a very busy time, and a lot of traffic aboard the International Space Station.
Ivan, first step
And
3.3, please check.
04. We have primed command 17.
We're supposed to have an image by now.
Earlier this evening, Morgan, Meir, and Skripochka, which you can see on your screen, Andrew Morgan there on the left, Oleg Skripochka, commander of the Soyuz MS-15 in the middle, and Jessica Meir on the right, said goodbye to their crewmates. You can see Skripochka hugging Chris Cassidy, the new commander of the International Space Station, who will stay behind to live and work on the station, along with Anatoly Ivanishin, also there in the center of your screen, and just off camera, joined by Ivan Wagner. This marks the end of the mission for Meir, Morgan, and Skripochka. As we mentioned, an almost 9-month mission for Morgan and 6 months for Meir and Skripochka.
Moscow.
The crew floated into the Soyuz MS-15, Jessica Meir going in first, who will be the left seat as board engineer 1, and Drew Morgan in the right seat as board engineer 2, followed by commander of the spacecraft, Oleg Skripochka.
In the diagram, they're all mated. Copy.
The Soyuz hatch was closed at 5:44 p.m. Central Time, 6:44 p.m. Eastern Time, as the space station was flying 262 statute miles northeast of Japan. Since then, the crew has been performing leak checks and systems checks, ensuring their Soyuz is ready to go. They then depressurized the space in between the Soyuz hatch and the Zvezda Service Module hatch on the space station, bringing that down to a vacuum for their departure. In the past few hours, they've also donned their white Sokol launch and entry suits, and they're now strapped into their Soyuz at the aft port of the Zvezda Module, ready for their journey home.
Yes, we can see it. So you have USB 2A. Copy.
Since the closure of this hatch earlier, we mentioned some of those systems and vehicle checks that have been performed. And there have also the port hooks on the Zvezda Service Module aft are now open, setting the stage for the undocking command to be sent to the Soyuz. And with the crew of 3 tucked safely away in the Soyuz in their seats, that undocking command is scheduled to be sent at 8:52 p.m. Central Time.
Ground 1 for Ivan. Go ahead. We propose that you restart the application per step 11 and then do step 5 again and do the activation per step 5. And first I use step 11.2, close the video server, and then step 5, reactivate everything. Copy.
Once that undocking command is sent at 8:52 p.m. Central Time, springs on both sides of the docking interface between the docking port itself and Soyuz will push off against each other to allow physical separation of Soyuz from the space station. It'll take about 90 seconds until we see any actual movement from the spacecraft, so undocking itself is scheduled for 8:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time.
And this is on USOS, so we'll be standing by for instructions from them. And let's continue working on our task.
Once the Soyuz departs from the space station, it'll be moving at about 1.12 meters per second. And about 3 minutes after separation, there will be an 8-second burn, adding 0.53 meters per second to the Soyuz velocity. So we'll be on the lookout for that separation burn 1. That will carry it far enough away from the station, approximately 32 kilometers or 19 miles, for it to later execute the deorbit burn scheduled for 11:22 p.m. and lasting 4 minutes and 41 seconds. That deorbit burn is a retrograde firing. It's easiest to understand as a braking maneuver, and it'll slow the spacecraft down by about 128 meters per second, allowing it to fall out of orbit, which is exactly what we want to see this evening. The Soyuz should still have communication with the space station until just after that deorbit burn when it enters the plasma regime.
Station Houston on space to ground 2 for Chris and the caution warning. Hey Chris, let's go over to space to ground 1 if you can, just so we don't interfere with Soyuz. On 1. Hey Chris, just wanted to let you know that the enabled warning that came up on the board, we don't have any actions for you at the moment for this. And we're still go for undock. Okay, copy. Yeah.
I confirm. Closed transmission. We copy. And I confirm display plus TV is on. And please issue RDR 44500.
This evening's return to Earth for the Expedition 63 crew will be the Expedition 62 crew will begin with the undocking at 8:53 p.m. Central Time, just a few minutes from now. Springs on both sides of the docking interface will push off against each other to allow physical separation. The deorbit burn will be scheduled for 11:22 p.m. Central Time. This retrograde burn will slow the Soyuz spacecraft by 128 meters per second, enough to drop it out of Earth's orbit. At 11:50 p.m., the 3 portions of the Soyuz module will pyrotechnically separate, leaving the orbital module and propulsion module to burn up in the atmosphere, while the descent module you see here, with its 3 crew members, will have its heat shield forward to the direction of travel, protecting them from the heat buildup reaching about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. After the crew is out of the plasma regime, a series of parachutes will open. First 2 pilot parachutes and then a drogue chute, followed by the main chutes that will guide the spacecraft down in a 15-minute descent.
Copy, no image.
Just about 2 seconds before the crew touches down on the ground on the steppe of Kazakhstan, about 92 miles southeast of the town of Dzhezkazgan, there will be a soft landing engine fire. That'll slow down the Soyuz just a bit more, preparing them for that landing.
Inaudible.
Пока пауза у нас. Есть инструкция запрета КВ.
And we confirm that we can issue the IKV inhibit command. We copy. We are in the indicator mode. We still do not have GSO attitude built. Please issue R7 command on the display number 3 and then activate the headlamp. In work.
Just about 5 minutes away from that undock command being sent to the vehicle. Once again, it'll take about 90 seconds for us to see the physical separation of Soyuz on its journey home to the International Space Station. At the top of your screen is actually a Progress resupply vehicle, just one of the several vehicles that caused so much traffic during these recent expeditions.
And I sent this command once. We copy.
Sure. This is a good look at where the Soyuz MS-15 is right now. You can see that progress at the bottom of your screen, which you just had a clear view of live in real time from the space station. That Soyuz MS-15 is docked to the aft port of the Zvezda module.
We copy.
We're awaiting that undocking command to be sent in just a few moments from now.
Moscow station.
Upon its departure, MS-15 will leave behind the Soyuz MS-16 module, or Soyuz spacecraft.
That's nominal.
Thank you.
I am ready with D7. S16 is not illuminated.
This is our view from the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft. We'll be watching here as that undocking command is sent just a few minutes from now, and we'll be looking to see that separation at 8:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time.
Moscow station, space and ground 1, go ahead. First step 8. I'm activating recording. Copy.
Экипаж МКС по Москву в канале СГ-1 для Ивана.
Station Moscow, space to ground 1 for Ivan. Go ahead.
Запись на вьюере включаем. 8.
We can start recording on the viewer.
And in just 60 seconds, we can expect Jessica Meir to send that undocking command.
And this is step 8.1. Activate
And I
recording
sent
mode
the
on
7
the viewer
command.
in work.
We confirm.
The docking mechanism is powered up, things proceeding smoothly.
Retracted. S13
We have recording.
and mechanical connection command is also confirmed.
Copy.
We copy.
Разрешаем выдачу команды крюки открыть.
We give you
I
a go
restarted this
to
server for
send
the
the
third
17
time.
command.
There is
Hooks
no
open.
image. Copy, thank you. So let's
At
stop working
4:52
with
we'll
the
put it
server
in work.
then.
Copy.
Да, готово.
D17, are you ready?
I copy.
Ready.
Выдала.
Sent.
The command has been sent, and we will now wait for that visible undocking scheduled at 8:53 and 30 seconds Central Time.
We confirm S14. LED is no longer illuminated.
Принято. И также при
And
объектов проконтролируйте, пожалуйста, отсутствие посторонних
please monitor
механизма.
the docking mechanism for any debris during the undocking process.
And we're currently in a satellite handover as we await to regain communications.
I confirm mechanical connection is no longer illuminated at 4:53:15. And we confirm that there is.
And we have undocking of the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft at 8:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time as the space station flew 263 statute miles over eastern Mongolia. Soyuz MS-15 and its crew are flying free, one step closer on their way back home to Earth.
I do not see any FOD, any debris during separation. There is nothing at the docking mechanism. Indicator mode is no longer illuminated, of course. Copy. We copy.
The Soyuz now moving away from the space station at 0.12 meters per second.
Минута прошла.
1 minute in.
Just about 2 minutes until we see that separation burn 1, the 8-second burn, to create the faster opening rate between Soyuz and the station.
2 minutes into autonomous flight. And we see the ISS.
This view of Soyuz backing away from the Zvezda module on the International Space Station, where it has been parked since September 25th. In about 30 seconds, we'll be looking for that separation burn 1.
And we confirm there is activation ZKL.
And you can see the separation burn has begun, that 8-second burn, separating Soyuz from the International Space Station at a rate of 0.53 meters per second.
And we confirm we are moving on to step 9.
And the burn is confirmed as nominal.
There is some interference. We are sending EL1 command. Copy. There is interference. E1, should I send it? Yes, send E1 command. And send A11 command. And then D8. And we see the LED is no longer illuminated. D11, D17. We sent those commands.
Almost 5 minutes since Soyuz undocked from the International Space Station, now flying free with the crew of Dzhezkazgan, Meir, Andrew Morgan, and Oleg Skripochka on board.
I sent V18 and S18 commands. Copy. Sent. Great. And then D5, and then please put the hand controller in the neutral position, translational hand controller in neutral position. It's a shame we can't really see anything in the periscope. True.
As Soyuz continues to back away from the space station, you can see that upper bulbous portion, that's the orbital module. It includes the rendezvous antennas and the docking probe that was activated upon the undocking command being sent. The center section is where you'll find our crew members, that's the descent module, and they are wearing their Sokol suits, strapped into their designated seats, ready for the ride home. This segment also holds all the life support and the guidance, navigation, and control systems. The lower portion is the propulsion module, where you see those solar arrays that houses the engines and other instruments necessary to maneuver the Soyuz during activities like the deorbit burn, scheduled to bring the crew down out of Earth's orbit tonight at 11:22 p.m. Central Time.
LED is illuminated.
The only portion of this spacecraft that will survive the heat of re-entry and with a parachuted landing will land on the steppes of Kazakhstan at 12:16 a.m. Central Time is that center portion, the descent module where the crew is currently seated.
How are you?
Миксирование.
Let me try. Check them again. I think one of them is not closed. There is one on my side. Sarmate, this is MCC Moscow. Please select Techn line on the input panel. Pasha, come again. Let's select on input 2, info display.
Есть формат info.
Confirm info display is open. And please select descent tab and let's compare what you've got there. Descent, you mean? Yes. Tab for descent. I confirm it's open. All right, let's verify what you have in the RODF procedures and what you have on the display. Also, it's in the decimal code 950.
Yeah, I was.
That's the first group. Where is that? Okay, I see it. These are SUS settings.
Coming up on 10 minutes since Soyuz undocked from the Zvezda module on the International Space Station, you can hear the crew working with teams on the ground at the Russian Mission Control Center in Koryov outside of Moscow, as the International Space Station and the Soyuz MS-15 itself are flying over the North Pacific Ocean at 263 statute miles. In that descent module, the center module of the Soyuz spacecraft, you have Commander Oleg Skripochka in the middle seat. On his left, Meir, the board engineer 1, sort of the backup to the Soyuz commander. And then on the right, Andrew Morgan, returning to Earth after almost 9 months aboard the International Space Station.
You can turn off TV per page 44, and then please send GEP4 command on the input panel 2. All data on the info tab are the same. Thank you so much for your confirmation. Copy.
Москвы в канале СГ-1 для Ивана по ТВ-репортажу.
Moscow Station Moscow on ground 1 for Ivan and the media.
And I confirm display TVS is up.
You can go ahead and terminate recording.
Your current view of the Soyuz MS-15 spacecraft is from the International Space Station itself. The next major milestone for Soyuz will be the deorbit burn, lasting 4 minutes and 41 seconds to slow the Soyuz down by 128 meters per second, a braking maneuver that will allow it to drop out of Earth's orbit and back into the atmosphere.
Translation mode.
At that point, Soyuz will be about 32 kilometers from the International Space Station, or 19 miles.
Sarmate, we are done with the undocking. GoPro activation is going to be at 6:10:00 before descent. And then per page 48, you can perform steps to prepare for the descent for that page. And before that, you don't need to do anything. We'll be standing by ready to support. Page 48, step 1, work prep. Copy. Sarmate, we still have comm. We are not going to be bothering you. Just get some rest and prepare for the next steps. If you have any questions or comments, please call us.
Station Moscow, space to ground 141. Go ahead.
And I confirm KDU
TV is off, Ivan, and you are go to press with steps 9 and 10.
And
also
inaudible 500.
11.2. Close out. And so on.
And we need to.
Soyuz continues to move farther away from the space station, but still very high above the blue marble of Earth. It won't drop out of Earth's orbit until that deorbit burn scheduled for 11:22 p.m. this evening.
You know, go ahead, issue it.
Just about 5 minutes after the deorbit burn is completed tonight, the orbital module, that bulbous portion at the top of the Soyuz spacecraft, will be depressurized to a vacuum, setting up the systems for the pyrotechnic separation of the modules.
That's good.
The orbital module would depart at 0.82 meters per second, and the propulsion module at the bottom of the spacecraft will depart at 0.58 meters per second. While the center section, the descent module, will have its heat shield exposed in the direction of travel, ablating the almost 2,500 degree Fahrenheit temperatures that build up around it. That protects our crew inside of Oleg Skripochka, Roscosmos cosmonaut and commander of this vehicle, seated in the center. Jessica Meir to his left as board engineer 1, and Andrew Morgan to his right as board engineer 2. Upon the landing of this crew tonight, about 92 miles southeast of Dzhezkazgan, Kazakhstan, the crew will return by Russian helicopters to the recovery staging city in Baikonur, Kazakhstan. That's about a 2.5-hour ride, where they will split up for the first time in 6 months. The NASA crew will then move to ground transportation for about a 3-hour ride to the airport in Kyslorda, where they will board a Gulfstream plane and make their way back to the Ellington Field in Houston. Skripochka will board a Gagarin Cosmonaut Training Center aircraft in Baikonur to return to his home in Star City, Russia. The NASA and Russian landing team are now en route aboard their helicopters from Baikonur on the way to Dzhezkazgan, about a 2.5-hour flight. They will refuel those helicopters once they arrive in Dzhezkazgan in preparation to depart that location once again about the same time as the deorbit burn occurs tonight. They'll then set out for the landing site, about a 35-minute flight. These 3 crew members will be coming home to excellent weather, looking at around 61 degrees Fahrenheit at the landing site on the steppes of Kazakhstan, with clear skies and a little wind from the southeast. Upon landing, the crew will be extracted from the spacecraft and placed into chairs to get their land legs back and regain their equilibrium after half a year for Oleg and Meir to experience gravity for the first time, and then in Drew Morgan's case, 9 months.
Moscow Station, space to ground 1. Go ahead. The files are on OCA.
На оси, в какой папке?
Copy. What's the name of the folder? Video downlink for Moscow.
Извиняюсь.
And the folder name is? Moscow Station, space to ground 1.
Связи.
Go ahead. I just put the files on there. You want me to create a separate folder for those files? Yeah, usually we ask you to create a separate folder so we know which folder contains which files.
Moving faster and further away from the International Space Station is Soyuz MS-15, thanks to that separation burn 1 that occurred 3 minutes after its undocking from the Zvezda port tonight.
Вань, а название этого файла можешь подсказать? Или их там несколько?
Ivan, are there several files or just one? There are 2 files.
Файлы получили, да?
2 files. Yes, SSC2 -2020 01 50 51 MPEG. And the second one is SSC2 2020 0417 02 03 37.
Принято. Спасибо.
Copy, thank you.
This view coming live from the International Space Station, and though Soyuz continues to move farther away from the station, we still have communications with the spacecraft. That won't be lost until just a little bit after the deorbit burn, as the crew enters the plasma regime, when temperatures of about 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit will build up around the descent module, being ablated by the heat shield and protecting the crew of Meir, Oleg, Skripochka, and Andrew Morgan inside. And all systems were nominal during the undocking tonight, things moving smoothly for Soyuz as it continues back toward Earth, returning 3 of its residents. Soyuz landing tonight is expected at 12:16 a.m. Central Time, actually on April 17th, and 1:16 a.m. Eastern Time at 47.19 degrees north latitude, 69.34 degrees east longitude. That puts the spacecraft about 92 miles away from the town of Dzhezkazgan.
Московская станция СГ-1. На связи.
Moscow Station, base to ground 1. The pictures of the docking interface are in folder
Принято, спасибо.
Soyuz 744, and the interface looks very clean and pristine, no damages or faults to report.
Если будешь готов, то есть добро, можно переводить КВД в закрытое положение.
And Anatoly, we copy that. And you are go to switch the position.
Можно переводить КВД ПРК-ТК в положение.
Position of ПРК-ТК, PEV in closed position.
Принято.
Copy, closing КВД ПРК-ТК. Copy.
And since the Soyuz MS-15 undocked at 8:53 and 30 seconds p.m. Central Time while the station was flying over eastern Mongolia, it is now on its journey home. The next step for Soyuz will be the deorbit burn scheduled for 11:22 p.m. Central Time, and we'll be live on air to show you that at 11 p.m. Central Time, so please join us. 12:16 a.m. Central Time tomorrow, April 17th, is the projected landing time for Soyuz in south of Dzhezkazgan, Kazakhstan, about 92 miles away. In the meantime, the prime NASA crew has arrived by helicopter to Dzhezkazgan, Kazakhstan. The next steps for them to have their helicopters refueled in preparation to depart for the landing site at about the same time as that deorbit burn at 11:22 p.m. Central Time. We're going to take a quick break and come back at 11 p.m. Central. We hope that you'll join us for the landing of this crew with Oleg, Skripochka, Jessica Meir, and Andrew Morgan. Thanks for joining us. This is Mission Control Houston.